Hello and welcome to the Marketing Compass podcast. And this is the show for all the students out there who want guidance in the field of marketing, where you'll learn how to navigate, choose the right path that you love in marketing. And on this episode, we have Hannah with us. Hannah, how are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing good as well. Hannah, we've met through ADP list where I had come for guidance from you, and that's how we met and I got your experience. If you could share a little bit about yourself to the audience, that'd be great.
Sure, thanks. Yeah, an ADP list for those of you listening is a great resource for other mentor and mentee opportunities out there. But I'm not sponsored by them. Just a good plug. Um, so yeah, I'm Hannah Erlsten. I'm a senior product marketing manager at Alteryx Software, which is a tech analytics company. I have had a little bit of a different journey to product marketing than most. But yeah, I have a pretty heavy background in traditional marketing and went to school at Colorado State University. Go Rams!
Perfect. As far as I've seen or noticed on your LinkedIn, it shows that you've done an engineering internship and then you've moved into marketing. So could you please give me context as to what that is? You
Yes.
said you have had full-blown marketing experience. So what's that engineering experience internship doing there?
Yes. Yeah. What is that doing there? Yeah. When I was in high school, which seems like forever ago now, I was a big math nerd. I took all of the AP courses that you can take, so advanced position courses in mathematics. I really thought I wanted to be an engineer. I was going to go build buildings and things. I did an internship my senior year for, I think it was like 150 to 200 hours at an engineering firm in Colorado. And I loved the folks. If they ever listened to this, the people were great. I hated what I was doing. It was not for me. It did not feel creative at all. I wasn't really seeing like a path for myself. So yeah, I switched over to business because I didn't know what else to do. Going into college and university, I went to the business school and kind of figured it out from there. Um, I think it has lent itself to a very left brain and right brain ability in my career path, though.
So, of course, what initially drew you to marketing? Like, how did you discover your passion that marketing is something that I want to do?
Yeah, it fed from that engineering snafu. I went to university, I joined the business school. I thought I still wanted to do sort of a left brain career, a logistical career. So I actually looked into supply chain for a little while. Turns out also not for me. And I actually took a consumer behavior class in, I think it was my third year of college. And then I also took a product thinking, I think it was called, class, also in my third year. So I took those in tangent and I really got a love for why people buy the things they buy, why products are designed the way that they're designed, all the way down from top level like branding positioning to why are we putting XYZ feature on whatever out there in the market. So I feel like that was really the light bulb for me to transition into marketing. And that's the path I went.
So you said that you loved how why people bought certain things, right? So if you had to describe marketing in the most simplest way possible to you, and if you had to explain it to a 5-year-old, how would you explain it?
This is a good question. I'm thinking. I would say that marketing is how you talk to your consumers. And nope, I'm reeling this back in. Marketing to me is how and why consumers buy what they buy at the end of the day. How they're being reached, how they're being talked to, how they're perceiving value from your company or your product. And yeah, the 5-year old version of that is just like why you're buying a Pop Tart versus the Walmart brand, I guess.
Now, you said you are a senior product marketer, right? So, could you please explain what that role is and why did you choose to focus on that role?
Yeah, if any product marketers are listening to this, I'm sure somebody's going to put their finger up and say, that's not what product marketing is. However, I think that's the beauty of product marketing. I think there are some generalistic things that go across the board in product marketing roles. And then there's some of us that specialize in things. There's technical PMMs, there's very role specific siloed PMMs. So I think the beauty of product marketing is that it is really a lot of things and it can be very different across roles. But to me, it's the role that sits between customers, marketing, engineering, sales. You're sort of, I think I just saw like a recent, I might be misquoting this, but McKinsey article that was talking about like how product marketing is at the spoke wheel of, you know, all these different functions cross functionally across an organization. So that's product marketing. I think I missed a question in there.
All right, that's not an issue. So now, of course, you started from the entry level of marketing, and then now you have a ton amount of experience, right? So how has your journey into marketing evolved since you started, and what are the key lessons that you've learned along the way?
Yeah, and I said this early on, but I feel like I have a pretty non-traditional path to product marketing, especially with the engineering background. But everyone that I've met in product marketing has had a different entry point into product marketing. Mine just happened to be a very traditional marketing background. So when I got out of school, I was working as kind of a marketing operations specialist at a small little startup company. I moved from that into field events. I moved from that into PR and communications and sort of some web stuff. And then from there into product marketing. I feel like how my background set me up for product marketing is that I can really, I say this a lot in my mentee sessions on ADP list, but I feel like you have to know your specific superpowers in product marketing. And we don't all have the same superpowers. Somebody with a more technical background in PMM can obviously hit on things and skill sets that I don't have. But where my superpower comes in is from my marketing background. So positioning, messaging, storytelling, thinking about the brand, thinking about how all of these pieces and parts of the very traditional side of marketing work together to tell our strategy story. Can I do the technical stuff? Can I do some of the other stuff that's required in PMM? Yes, but my superpowers are on the marketing side because of my background.
And did you ever feel lacking on the technical side, even though you had the marketing side? And even if you did lack, how did you make up for it?
Yeah, I think I've felt that way a few times. I feel like I feel that way right now. And I think that we all have imposter syndrome sometimes. I listened to a recent podcast where April Dunford was saying that her first career, she went in and she didn't just feel like an imposter, she was the imposter. And like sometimes I feel that way too. I love that quote. Um, yeah, I do struggle with the technical side, especially at first. I feel like because my brain is so wired to just think directly into the right side. But where I draw on my left brain, my engineering background, is getting myself up to speed via documentation, via getting my hands on whatever product I'm working with, via reading whatever I can on the internet, seeing what other folks are doing. My very first role in product marketing was for a master data management software, which, if you had asked me at the time, I think I even said it in my interview. I was like, I've never heard of this before. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it does, but I'm a fast learner and I can figure it out. And I did. So I think that's how I've tackled that. I think we all have our superpowers again. And to me, just being able to like figure out how you can tackle the other side is a superpower in itself.
Now, you said that you were not aware about the software. Now, this is where a most common issue arises with among students when they are unfamiliar with certain softwares. Now, the question arises when they are interviewing, do they tell the interviewer whether they do know the software, even if they don't, or they come up front and say that they don't know it, and will they get the negative points? How, what would your perspective be on this?
Yeah, this is a great question. And I think something that a lot of us have or do struggle with. I have interviewed and I've been an interviewee. And from my perspective, you can see right through somebody lying. And I can tell when I'm giving a white lie and it's not a good answer. And the further I've gotten in my career, the more to me, it's easier to do my research prior to interviews. It's easier to take a look and inform myself if y'all are looking at the job description, you can go and do some research on whatever it is, their company, their product, whatever you're unfamiliar with. But I do think it is important as well to not go into the interview with BS on your side, to go in tactful and informed and to the best of your ability, but know that you don't have to be an expert yet. You don't work for them yet. You can grow into learning things. So I think that's my answer for that. I wouldn't go in saying you know something when you don't.
Now, another thing arises with CVs and resumes with college students is they think that one resume can be applied and used for every single job, even though it's the different title. What advice would you give to the students who are considering a career in marketing uh, uh, and are unsure about where to start as well?
Yes, it's a good point. I think while you don't need to tailor every line of your resume, oh, there's my dog. While you don't need to tailor every line of your resume for the specific job that you're applying to, I think that you should take a look at the job description and see where you can tailor things that make sense, or that you've noted in a different fashion than what they're calling it. Um, and adjust as needed. I think that if you go in with a I'm just going to spray and pray approach, it doesn't work. It's proven that it doesn't work. I've seen it doesn't work. You have to be able to talk in the company's language. You have to be able to showcase skills that they're asking for. So if you're not hitting those things, you're not going to get seen by the recruiter. You're not even going to get picked by the automated system.
Now, in your experience, what skills and qualities do interviewers look out for that are a huge success in the field of marketing?
In marketing, I think it's really important to have the ability to sell yourself. And especially product marketing, but in marketing in general, your whole job is to be able to talk to people. Your whole job is to be able to tell the brand story, the product story, be a brand advocate, be the greatest cheerleader there ever was for whatever you're marketing. And if you can't do that same thing for yourself via your CV or resume or through your interviews, then in my opinion, I feel like that's something that they're always looking for in interviews for folks looking for marketing careers. You have to be able to market yourself.
Now, of course, there's in the world of social media right now, everyone's posting the successes, the huge numbers they're cracking, and everything, right? But then, of course, there are bad days, there are challenges, there are obstacles as well, where not a lot of people talk about it. So, can you tell me a significant challenge or obstacle that you faced in your marketing career and how you overcame it?
Yeah. Okay. Yes. So a challenge I face, and I face it every day right now, even in my product marketing role, is that you've got to be really adaptable, especially in product marketing. There are companies that you've got to switch around. You've got to change products, or you launch something and you're maybe going to the next thing. I think being adaptable at times in my career has been a challenge. I think that I don't think this. I know that I'm a perfectionist. I know that I like to get things done to the best of my ability. And so being adaptable, being flexible, being able to change with the tides as they come, sometimes as a perfectionist feels like you can't do it to like the quality that you know you can. So I think being able to take a step back and seeing where things are good and done versus done and perfect, or being able to take a step back and say that I did all the things I needed to do for that project and I can move on and I can go learn something new. That's been something I've really had to learn how to do over the years, especially as a perfectionist in the industry in marketing. And I feel like a lot of us are in marketing.
It is true. It is true. Even myself, I would consider like a perfectionist, because if I do not give my everything and I know what I'm capable of, I feel so bad about it. And at the end of
Yes.
the day, it's just gone down to the drain. Now, speaking of adaptability, now marketing is a very everyday kind of a role where there is a lot of trends happening, a lot of developments happening in marketing. And how do you stay updated with the latest trends and developments in marketing? And could you please explain how important continuous learning is in the field of marketing?
Yes, I think continuous learning, to answer your question sort of backwards, is super important. You've got to stay up to date. Marketing is one of those fields that is changing, as you said, by the day, by the hour, sometimes it feels like. Some brand decides that they want to change their social media algorithm, and everything you've built for the last 7 months is broken. I'm sure you and I both know that. So continuous learning is so important. How do I stay up to date? I think that this question is sort of a loaded question. I think it varies based on the industry and the role you're in. If you're somebody that is doing social media, if you're somebody that is out there on 7 platforms for your customer or your role or your company, obviously you need to be tapping those on the daily, on the hour. If you're, like I just said, if you're in social media, you know that things can change literally by the hour. Whereas I'm in software analytics, I'm in B2B tech. Not to say that things are not changing quickly, because they are, but I do feel like there's a lot more of a runway. There's a lot more of a ramp. There's more industry trends that you can watch from analysts. So I would say in my role, how I stay up to date is kind of reading analyst reports, getting my news from industry sources, getting taking a look at our competition, seeing what they're putting out, looking at blog releases, looking at press releases, getting information off of LinkedIn on companies. But again, if you're in a more B2C role, if you're doing things that are more on the daily interactions, you're going to need to ramp that up in a different way. So I think it's just job and role dependent.
Amazing. Now, I will ask you this to share with us. What was the three tools that you've used so far that has helped you along your way from the startup and until now, that you found it like really helpful?
The three tools, as in like actual tools or like
Yes.
metaphorical tools?
You could consider it as a software that has helped you with
Okay.
something, or with your research that has there, or even with in terms of uh, getting to know about a certain topic, right?
Okay. Yeah, I would say Canva is huge. I think that Canva really just got on the board in the last couple of years. However, I'm a little bit older than you, and I have been using Canva since its inception in 2016. I've been a Canva stan since day one, and I'm still on board the Canva train. I love it. They are great innovators. They really listen to their users, and I think it's one of those platforms that's really evolving with the times, and it makes marketing in so many facets, personal, business, whatever it is, so accessible. So big Canva stan. Canva, please give me a free membership. I love Canva. Secondly, I would say, and I hate to say this out loud because I have not taken the PMA certification, the Product Marketing Alliance PMM certification. I've heard it's amazing. I actually got my certification for product marketing through the Pragmatic Institute, and I have not enough good things to say about the Pragmatic Institute. I feel like on my journey from marketing, traditional marketing roles, to product marketing and product understanding, product management, the Pragmatic Institute courses were so worthwhile. You get to sit in on live instructor led classes. You get to ask questions. I feel like that really helped me upskill the technical side of my breadth of work and understanding. So can't say enough good things. Like I've said, I've heard that the Product Marketing Alliance is also great. So shout out to both of those organizations for the continuous learning. The third tool, I would say, recently, maybe Camtasia. I've become a really big Camtasia user, and I don't know if that's just because I'm working on a lot of demos recently, but it feels pretty easy for chopping and splicing videos. I've done a couple demo videos. I've done some product stuff on Camtasia that has been pretty easy to use. So maybe that's I don't maybe that's not a good answer. I don't know. I
I
can't
mean,
say that I'm like
everyone.
a total Camtasia stan like I am for Canvas or Canva, you know.
True, true. I mean, it is very interesting because my next follow-up question is going to take a dig at Canva. Um,
Oh, okay.
okay.
That's why you were
So
laughing.
yes, yes, exactly. Because it was my evil laugh that was brewing in my head as soon as you said you were a Canvas stand. Uh, so if you've noticed, a lot of the college students, the first platform they would actually go to build their resumes is Canva, right? And when
Yes.
you compare the Canva templates with the normal one-page resumes or CVs, if you had to pick one from an interviewer's perspective, which one would you pick and why? And if you wouldn't pick the other one, give me another reason as to why you wouldn't pick the other one as well.
So now I'm the one who's laughing because I actually built my resume, my CV in Canva. My resume is built via Canva. I think, like any tool out there right now, you have to know when you can use something straight template, something straight shot out at you, versus when you need to adjust things. And I think that's really the key with Canva. If you just take the stock stuff, sometimes either everyone is using that or it's not um, adjustable enough for you specifically. So what I did was took a Canva template and then sort of adjusted and rebuilt as needed for myself. I think if you're using Canva and other tools, even ChatGPT, you can say like you can't trust everything that's coming spit right at you out of ChatGPT either. But you can use it as sort of like a first draft point and adjust from there. I feel like that's how I use Canva as well. And I'm losing my train of thought here, but if I were to pick one versus the other, I think it would really depend on how you're able to showcase yourself. I don't think it really comes down to like what tool that you use to create your resume. I think it comes down to like how you're showcasing yourself. If you have just a basic resume built in Word and like the information doesn't give me any of your personality, it doesn't give me any of what I actually want to know to hire you, it's not any better than something built in Canva that the person does show their personality, that the person does have what I'm looking for to hire them. So I think
True.
it's you know, I think you can show a lot more personality in marketing resumes and CVs than you can in other industries. And I think that's especially true for roles in the United States. I know we're kind of talking globally, but I feel
Yeah.
like the United States specifically is a lot more lenient in hiring and what they're looking for on resumes and CVs. So I think there's ability to be more creative in marketing roles on your CV and resume.
Interesting. I was not expecting this answer, but interesting. Uh, Now you've been in the marketing career path for a long time, right? And I'm pretty sure you've heard this saying where people often come out and say that, oh, you're in a marketing job, so you go out and do sales, right? Or oh, so you're basically doing a sales job, right? So do you think marketing is a sales job? And if you could give me your thoughts on what the entire topic addressing, being marketing career a separate path and a sales career a separate path.
Again, maybe this is just with my experience as it is now, but I'm finding a lot less of that the further I get into my career, the further I've gotten into in the depths of marketing career paths, the less comparison there is, the more it does feel like companies do really understand the difference. Where I've seen it be more of a blurred line is like startups, is companies trying to figure out who they need to hire to do what. Can they hire the same person to do both jobs? And I think in some cases you can. That not saying that marketing and sales are the same thing. Not saying that they require the same skill sets, but I do find that there are a lot of skills that do overlap. However, I do think marketing is very different from sales. I think we're partners. That's something that I say a lot in product marketing is I'm a partner with sales. Sales is my best friend. Like if we can't sell what we're trying to take to market, if we can't make sales, I'm not going to have a job. They're not going to have a job. The company's not going to function. So I think that we're partners. We have to work together. I think that sales is my best friend in product marketing in terms of getting actual customer feedback, seeing when in the sales cycle they're having successes or having failures or opportunity for a different path of growth that we can work on together. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question. I do think they are separate roles. I think that there's confusion when it comes to smaller companies sometimes, and I think it just comes down to really whose responsibility is what, and do they force traditional marketing on a traditional marketing role, or do they think that they can have some sort of hybrid? And I think that's kind of where product marketing roles come into play in a lot of companies too, is sort of bridging that gap.
So you yourself are a mentor and you've mentored a lot of students, right? A lot of people come for advice as well. I myself have come for advice, right? What role do you think mentorship and networking plays in advancing someone's career in marketing? And if you could give a few tips on how to build a strong professional network, uh, as an extrovert and as an introvert as well, because I know for a fact there's two different types of people out there. Not everyone is the same as well.
Yes, and I think so. I'm an ambivert, is what I like to say. If you know me in real life, I am a crippling introvert. I love my couch. I love my dog. Like I want to be invited and I don't want to go. So I am an introvert, but I feel like in my job, in my role throughout my career, I've had to lean into being an extrovert, especially in the last couple of years in product marketing. You have to do more presenting, you have to do more customer facing things. So I've really had to lean into getting an extrovert skill set. I think what's helped me, you had a few questions. So, how to get a mentorship going? I don't know if that was specifically your question, but I've had mentors. You are correct that I am mentoring. I think it's really one about finding a fit with somebody. Not everyone is going to be a fit. And I tell people this all the time that I'm mentoring on ADP lists. Like if we have one session and it doesn't feel like a fit, even though you got good information, it may not be a good fit going forward for a long-term mentorship. That's fine. It doesn't hurt my feelings. I think finding somebody that can really understand how to help you long term is so helpful. That way, you're not bouncing around. But in the same vein, sometimes it is nice to just get a fresh perspective. And that's what I love about the ADP list platform is that you can just get a one-off session with a mentor if you have a specific question on something that they're really good at and you haven't done before or something. So I think it depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for something long term, finding that fit personality wise, career path wise, skill set wise is really, really useful. If you're looking for one off stuff, it's a different take. As far as building your network, something that I started doing very, very early on in my career, and that I've kept going and I'm so glad for, is keeping in touch with folks that I've worked at organizations with. So the first company I worked at, shout out to them. They got bought out. They don't exist anymore, but they know who they are. Best people ever. I still chat with the CEO of that company. He still reaches out to me. I talk with my coworkers. I talk with my first manager. And those people have all moved on to different careers as well, and they have networks. And I've been able to tap their networks through them through the years. I think continuing that on, every job I've worked at or left, there are still folks that I talk to from those jobs. So as far as networking goes, that's skill set number one. You're going to make connections wherever you land, and keeping those alive, even just reaching out on LinkedIn, or like I get coffee quarterly with somebody I used to work with. Just staying in touch can help so much, and then you can tap that person if you need help or assistance or whatever it is. As far as just like starting from ground zero and you're coming out of college, I feel like it can feel really overwhelming of like, okay, well, I don't even have a job. So how do I build a network without peers from jobs? I think going to networking events. I'm going to go to a PMA networking event next week, just staying in touch with like what's going on in your community, finding hobbies that you like to do that either have to do with your career path or have something similar, something that you just like to do. The more that you can tap into folks with similar mindsets, similar paths, similar passions as you, I think that you will organically see your network grow. And then staying active on LinkedIn, staying active in that network of community, reaching out to people when you have a question. I've reached out to people cold on LinkedIn so many times, like more than I can even count, before I knew about ADP List, about like, hey, I just have a question about XYZ, and I saw that you do this there. Like, can we just have a 10-minute coffee chat about this? And that's helped me so much with just like making random connections on LinkedIn that have helped me. So yeah, I think it can be tough as an introvert, but I think you just have to force yourself out. And like the worst thing that somebody's going to say is no, they don't have time. And is that really that bad? I think there's more people that are willing to have time than more than those who don't. That was so long. That was so long-winded.
But it was really helpful advice as well. Now, looking back on your journey, what is one piece of advice you wish you had received when you started out marketing?
I just read this exact question somewhere on LinkedIn like 2 days ago, and I was reading through everybody's answers. And so maybe that's like feeding my answer to you. However, I do really feel strongly about this. I wish that I would have been more okay to fail. I wish that I would have been more okay to say that I don't know how to do something, or that, back to that perfectionism thing that we were talking about, that like not everything has to be this level of perfect that I
Yes.
feel like it has to be in my mind. I really wish I would have learned that sooner in my career. I think that would have really allowed me to try a lot more. That would have really allowed me to fail forward faster. Um, and I unfortunately learned it kind of late. I learned it only just a few years ago, that it's really like you don't have to have the answer. You can learn the answer. You can find out the answer. You can grow with the answer.
Now, if you had to start marketing today in 2024 from scratch, you're dropped out of college, you finished up college, you've graduated, you've taken time off a few months, but you are set to get into marketing, but you do not know how. But how would you do it if you had to start marketing today in 2024?
Yeah, I just took a huge sigh because that feels like it would really stress me out. So I totally feel for anybody that is doing that right now. I think that this isn't an answer to your question, but I do feel like it's leading me to my answer. We're in the age of AI. We know it. We're in the age of, you can just type something. You can have ChatGPT write your resume, right? Um, I would be really using those tools wisely, but cautiously. I would be using them wisely in terms of my search, in terms of adjusting my sentences in my resume. I would be using them wisely in creating cover letters, but I would be using them cautiously, in that I would be adjusting and making sure that they still have a human touch. I wouldn't just be taking something out and spitting it right back into a job search. I would also be doing networking. Anything that you can do, again, to reach people that are in a similar path that you want to take, a similar role that you think you want to discover more about. Anything that you can start just building your network, building your connections, seeing, helping other people be aware of you is probably more helpful than anything in 2024. I think we are in the age of so much content, and the more personalized you can make things with people, probably the easier. I don't envy it, because I feel like I had an easier entry out of school, honestly, and when I graduated college than 10 years later now. I think those are the top two things I would be doing, though. I would be really, really tapping where I could see myself going, and finding network connections in that path.
Would you choose a specialist as yourself, like if you like as I asked the question, like, if you had to start marketing today in 2024, would you specialize in one skill set, or would you generally get to know all of the skill sets and then specialize?
I think this is a personal question. Me personally, I would not do it differently than I did, which is I just dove in and got to have my hands on everything. I would do that again. I think that that really helped me discover what I like to do. I've also used that skill set throughout my career. I think that that's made me a really multifaceted marketer. Um, on the contrary, if you walk out of school and you know that you have such a passion for brand marketing and that's what you want to do and you know that in your soul, go do that. And if you don't like it, if you've been doing it for 6 months to a year and you don't like it, you can change, you can move on. And I think that's the beauty of it. And I think that's where a lot of us get stuck in our careers, is that we think, oh my God, I made this decision and now what? I'm stuck here. You're not. You can always change. People are changing their careers at 50. People are changing their careers after they retire. Like, you are always able to switch it up.
True, true. And that was my last question for the podcast. Thank you so much for uh, coming on the podcast, Hannah. I will leave the links for Hannah's socials down on the description. Do make sure to contact her. She is a lovely person to speak with and a lovely person to ask guidance for as well. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode, and I hope everyone has a good day. Bye bye.